All right, hocam. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Well, hello everyone. Hello, dear uh, guests and professors and all colleagues. It's an honor to be here because I think that there's many things to take from the Hojas and professors that were speaking before and will speak after. So it's a great pleasure. Thank you, Honor John, for inviting. Today, I want to talk about my road to data science because I feel that there's a need for clarifications for the students and the people who want to transition to data science or at least use data science for their research. So my name is Rustam Jabbarov and I'm currently working as automation and intelligence specialist at Bravinci. It's a startup in the Utrecht in Netherlands. So let's go to what we are going to talk about today. I would like to pay special focus for today's goal. First, then I will talk about my background, then how I met the data science. If possible, we can make a break, small break, before the second part. Then I would like to talk about how I detected depressiveness with data science. And I would also like to give tips for the beginners who are striving to use data science in their projects. So let's go for today's mission. My first goal is to let the fellow students to know how is it possible to transition to data science. It's a question that I've been asked a lot because I was one of the rare persons who did transition from international relations to data science. So it's not a mystery. I would like to debust the myths about how to do it. It's not very difficult. So this is my first mission. I would like to introduce you to how use data science methods. So I would like to make the data science word, this word, not vague, but more concrete. So with the examples in academia and also with examples in professional projects, and also to bust myths about data science that I see on LinkedIn that are actually making people fear from data science. So that's one of my goals, to bust that myth today. A little bit about myself. Rustam Jabbarov, 25 years old. I'm originally from Azerbaijan. Studied at Bilkent University. I studied international relations from 2013 to 2017. Right after, I said, okay, maybe it's not enough for me to select a profession. So maybe I should try myself in a work. So I applied for internship at United Nations. Was a public information uh, intern for 6 months. Then I got a job offer at UNICEF as innovation officer under the United Nations volunteer program. Right now I'm working as automation intelligence specialist, but it became only after I studied my master's at Tilburg University, where I studied data science and society. I studied here for 1 year and a half, so half year for pre-masters and 1 year for masters. Besides that, I'm the president of the ASAB, Azerbaijani Students and Alumni of Benelux Management Board for this year. We do networking activities to keep up our community strong and to let the youngsters here to be able to communicate with the professionals, the Azerbaijani professionals here, to create a professional network. And also, I'm part of Bilkenters in NL community, which has at least 200 Bilkenters in Netherlands. So I'm also in contact with fellow Bilkenters here. So that was the formal part of my presentation. So let's jump to the informal part. So how I met your data science. I want to talk about directly this simple, the most, let's say, the first grasp of data science that I got during my work at UNICEF. You can think of I'm 21, 22 years old coming to UNICEF. I have very, very elderly people there who are like the managers, and they say, "Oh, Rustam, innovate for us." And I said, "Okay, for innovation, you need a problem." So I started searching for problems. What are the problems in Azerbaijan for children and mother, especially? And I said, okay, I see that there isn't a systematic education of women who are pregnant. They don't know what to do, how to do. They get information from really, really untrusted sources. So as UNICEF and government, we can work together to make a systematic education and also scale. Are we good at communicating to our project subjects? So firstly, the problem is that women, especially in the rural areas, were uncertain on what to do during their pregnancy. I think the woman part of our audition will understand it much better, because there are so many sources, there are so many people around you that tell you should do this, you should do this. Government has different guidelines. Each government has a different guideline. There are so many blogs that make women really, really uncertain on what to do. And as a government and also UNICEF, we didn't have any data on whether, like, what we give as a handout for them, if they really learn from it. Is it effective to give handouts to people or not? So I said, okay, there should be something digital that we can propose that will first be systematic, easy, and also scalable. So why not to send health advices like action points as SMS messaging, free of charge? Then what we can do, we can collect data on how their behavior and knowledge changed after they get the SMS. So the process looked like this. We first, in the polyclinics, we gave a subscription consent. So any pregnant woman that came to register, she was given a form that she could sign, and she could receive SMS from us. So we got her number. If it was her number, that's another question. Then we are sending 25 SMS approximately for 5-6 months, so that she can get the SMS per week. For week 12, she needs specific messages. We sent that messages to her. And in the end, to see if we did good and to see actually what the reality is in the world of uh, pregnant women in the rural areas, we collected data through our telemarketing operators. So they asked around 15 questions and learned about their behavior, knowledge, and also their social background. Because we believe that we hypothesized that Azerbaijani women, and not also Azerbaijani women, but many women in the world, are very, very affected by the opinion of their closest social circle. So we try to learn about them also through these surveys. So what the results were, sorry, it's in Azerbaijani, but for Turkish speakers, I think it will not be that hard. I'll translate still. We scaled on how recallable our SMS were. So the blue part is around 55-56%. That the respondents, around 200, they recalled at least one SMS that was sent by UNICEF to them. And when we look at their partition of the total SMS, the most recalled ones were about the mother milk. So it talks about the fact that the woman actually didn't care much about their current state, but state that will have after delivery. So they were sure that they will deliver the baby, but what to do after. The second most concerning and most recallable one was about cesarean operation that's done when they have difficulties with delivery. So we understood that what our community, what our audience needs, what are their real concerns over their health. And there were also the weeks when they had the checkup, and also the ultrasound checkups. So this was the first success of our project, because 55% of recallability does mean that we can improve more, so that with 25 messages we can deliver only the things that they want. Now let's go to the second action, actually the success that we got. It was that due to our SMS, specifically the SMS that was sent by us, 33% of women actually understood when, and they got to know when their specific checkups should be. Because I was in the project and I got involved to understand the health system and how it's important to go to checkups, it's very important for women to go to checkups. So if they don't know the weight of the baby already, the size of the baby, these are the indicators that indicate if everything is going good or wrong. So we actually helped at least 32% of our audience to get assured with what they have. So of course, there was we didn't expect that much change in behavior, like 70%, because it was a pilot project. But for the first, it was really good because we hit the baseline of 30. Now, after we got the success, okay, we're good at changing knowledge, and we are not bad really at changing the behavior. With the data that we got in, I would say that will be more interesting for you is that I was given a chance to hear what they say in the calls, and the one call that I entered to hear what the people who I sent the SMS replied, I saw that it's not the woman itself, it's the mother-in-laws that are mostly accepting calls. It's the husbands. So I said, okay, we added a column named who took the first call. So what are the barriers for us to get to the woman? So from here, what you can see that is that hamile kadın means the pregnant woman. Around 60% of the respondents were the women themselves, but around let's say 25% were their husbands. Then a bit lower are their mother-in-laws. Then there's other people and their mothers, which are like their sisters, their relatives, and everyone. And we just woke up that what are we doing wrong? So, if you want to educate women, should you really educate women or also their social circle? The husbands, the uncles, the thesis, and everyone who are trying to act as, the doctor of the family. And that was the time when I really fell in love with data, because data confirms or rejects your hypothesis. It brings you new topics and new realities. That's why that's the point where I said, okay, I will do my next research on a quantitative basis because it talks more about the reality of the world. And if I was a decision maker on this, I would also create the SMS for the whole family, because if they are taking part in decision making of the woman, how she will act, how she will deliver, and the other choices, it will be also good to add specific messages for the family, because we would like the best possible scenario for women. And if there's this effect of the social circle, that will be really meaningful to aim their social circle too. So in a nutshell, I will say that my first advice for the students will be that believe in the power of the data. It helps you, it strengthens your argument, it gives you more insight about what you thought you know. So there is that famous word that the more you know that you don't know. Well, data will help you for sure in this sense. The second part of the presentation that I would like to do with you is actually my thesis project, where I chose actually to detect the presence with data science at Tilburg University. It was my master's thesis. I would like to begin with a question to the audience to also energize you a bit and also get your points on this. Maybe Onurcan can coordinate the question. So my question is, how do you know if someone is depressed? Please feel free to answer.
Anyone?
Yeah, how do you know if your sister is depressed or your friend is depressed?
Can I talk? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
She is probably are not happy. Like, she is not satisfied with the things that she does before, and like when you are happy doing something before, but you start to lose interest, and like you lost your passion and something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's could be, maybe you lose your energy and stuff.
Yes.
That could be some symptoms.
Yeah,
I know there are lots of symptoms, but
yeah. Thank you, Shihada. I think from what she said is like, if you see someone like frowning, yeah, with the face, walking alone, maybe, yeah, it's some of the indicators. Could you please also, the other people, I would like to get another answer for this, so we have a like balanced data set here. How would you recognize if someone is depressed?
There is another one in the chat.
Yeah, please.
It says, we feel depressed when there is a huge amount of data and we still don't know what to do with that data. That's
Okay.
another.
Okay. So what I would also actually, thanks to Shueda, it was more of like an indicator. So
Oh,
seeing
there is
someone.
also another hand.
Please,
Sorry,
please,
Kaçu.
please.
Meri Hocam.
Thank you, Onurcan. Well, there are a couple of things that I have in mind. It's, well, for example, feeling, having low self-esteem, sounding hopeless,
Yes.
having no motivation, having a general lack of energy,
Yes.
even sometimes moving, speaking slowly than usual, changing in appetite, sleeping more, although that's something probably you wouldn't see people walking the street, but yeah, I guess just in usual we see people with lower energy and people who usually try to avoid interactions with others are prone to have more depression than others.
Well, thank you, Meri Hocam. It was really insightful.
It sounded like I have depression, right? I know.
Yeah, I'm writing your name, you know, so we have a consultation after. Okay. No, I hope you don't. But just tell the
Can I
question.
add something?
Yeah, for sure.
They're easily distracted and their attention span decreases, as far as I know.
Okay. So from what I collect from the two answers, let's say, or three answers also about when they see data, it's about vision. So if you see someone, he's frowning, he's slow. If someone is speaking and maybe speech is very slow or he's not really speaking that high, it's one of the indicators, really. It is. But how data science can know if someone depressed? That's actually the part where I pushed myself to find this answer, and it was quite good to go on this question. I would say that let's go to the second question and let's see which one of this is more depressive. I would like hands here. Life is valueless, clueless, and full of bad surprises. Or Turkish lira hits record low against US dollar. So which is more depressive as a text?
I mean, as a potential Erasmus student, the second one seems very, very more depressive.
Yeah, but as a text, which one depresses you more from a linguistic perspective?
Oh, the first then.
Okay. Any other? There is no right or wrong answer, huh? Okay. Well, if there's no answer, we can move on.
In general, it's
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in generally.
It's like in this specific context, it is like for most of us, it's Turkish lira, it's records. So
yeah, it can, but yeah, but when you put it in the machine, artificial intelligence.
Speaking is the first one, because I mean the second one is actually not bad news for people who spent their US dollars coming from abroad, right?
Yes, yes.
Lira, so that would make it a little subjective to say the second one is more depressing.
Yes.
Certainly the first one.
Yes,
but I do agree with all of you. Of course, the second one is more depressing for us all.
Yeah, so it's kind of tricky because I know that my audience is from Turkey mostly, but jokes aside, if we look from the linguistic perspective and get a data set on what is depressive, what's not, yeah, the top one, life is valueless, clueless, full of bad surprises, this sentence would look like more depressing rather than the machine reads Turkish lira hits record low against US dollar. Okay, the only negative word maybe here is low, but it's not as depressive as the other one in linguistic terms. So one of the ways to categorize data is to analyze it linguistically. So I will talk about how I did it. My master thesis name was Detecting Depressedness from Russian Language Social Media, actually Kontakte, it's the Russian Facebook, with data mining and machine learning. The problem in general is that unfortunately depression is the second leading cause of disability worldwide. You know, not many people know that. It's very hidden. we can all experience even now, but we don't know it. Sometimes people think that it's normal. And the solution that I said, okay, if I think people talk about it, you know, when they talk, they try to show that, you know, something's not going on in their lives, whether it's like a joke, sarcasm, whether it's like a really fact, you know, I lost my parents, I don't have any money, I don't feel valuable in my life. So there's a lot of research which is in the sphere of psycholinguistics and natural language processing that it's detectable by linguistic features and machine learning. And even additive is that people can also know which type of depressive disability, let's say, which level of disability does this word represent. The research has gone actually really far in that sense, and I was lucky to read it all, most of them. It gave me insight that why not we use this psychologists' manuals in the natural language processing through data. The one thing that helped my solution, actually my research, was that people really expressed on the social media, you know, people express everything on social media, literally speaking. And I said, okay, well, social media should be the easiest one for me because it's more accessible rather than getting 300 respondents, signing up with them something and getting their data. It was easy to go for the public resources that are available on web. So what my thesis was about, I first searched about data set that will say, okay, Rustam, these are 32,000 posts that are depressive, and these are 32,000 posts that are non-depressive. I needed something like this, and why I chose the Russian language, because I also speak this language, know it, but I also love to research something that's not mainstream. If you go 90%, 95% of the literature is in English, 95% of the research are about posts in English. I said, you know, it's time to get the other languages working too, because Russian language, due to historical reasons, is also popular in post-Soviet countries, as also in my country and in Kazakhstan especially, where there's a high rate of suicides and depression. I said, okay, so I will go for the hard one. Maybe not that much resources, but if I can add my value to this. So I opened the data set, looked at it. Okay, the depressive posts I read really effective. I didn't read more than 10, you know, it was really depressive when you read it. But when I saw what the authors of the data set, the authors were in Kazakhstan, what they did is they, for comparison reason, what they saw as non-depressive was actually news. Like the president of Kazakhstan went to, I don't know, Turkey, and they marked it as non-depressive. I said, you know, the comparison that is made here is not between depressive and non-depressive. The comparison here is between something that is personal, non-personal. When you open the non-depressive post, you see that the most appearing word was Nursultan Nazarbayev. And it was funny for me, you know, because the machine learning models that they built were actually comparing the president names of the politicians of Kazakhstan versus the depressive words. And I said, no, it's not fair. We should really try something else. So what I did was I went to the VK, Contacte, resampled non-depressive part, so I deleted it totally and opened the meme groups, you know, the groups that are called like happy life, motivating words, things about life. There were like 7 communities that I entered and scraped data from there, cleaned it for 3 months. It's a hell of a work. But when I really started looking, I said, okay, this looks actually more balanced because posts are also personal, posts also include emotions. Now the machine learning model, the AI, let's say, can have more difficulties in understanding what's depressive and what's not. So I ran an algorithm to classify a post based on counts of the top 200 words. Not to go too much detail because some of our colleagues here are also a bit frightened from the technical perspective of this, but the thing that's really done here is really simple. What you do is you get all the words, you give them a chance to be a feature, a column, and you start counting. Okay, the word love appears that many times in depressive posts. This word appears very less in the non-depressive post, and you get the top 200. But what you do also is you clean the data, clean the posts from words like to, and, me, I, the prepositions, the some kind of the meaningless words that are not necessary for understanding if a person is depressive or not. So not surprisingly, the previous results after the classification, the previous results hit low. So I ran 2 algorithms. One algorithm fell from 91 to 84. So that means that the algorithm was challenged, and the other algorithm fell from 96 to 93% accuracy prediction with number of limitations. Because I would also like to scrape data from Instagram from the bloggers who post about their personal lives, but it was inspiring. But I saw that the Facebook does not allow me to scrape anything from there due to privacy reasons, and I said okay. So the best part, actually, the part of my research that was highlighted and valued more was the discussion where I said, it does a good job on this data set with 85 and 95% accuracy, but I only scraped from 7 communities. To be a research generalizable, you should have a bigger options to choose data from. So it was a really good experience for me to research this, because unfortunately, when the isolation happened, after 2 months, I entered Netherlands due to COVID. 2 Azerbaijani students committed a suicide there, and I knew one of them. I said, okay, if not me, who is gonna do this? Like I said back in UNICEF, because people even were laughing. Okay, Rustam, why pregnant woman? Like, what do you have? And I said, I read a lot of research about this and how they use machine learning to specify which veterans of US Army are more probable to commit something, the negative consequences. And they were taking data not only from their texts, they were also taking the data about their local unemployment rate by their zip code. The research, the scope of the research is really big, and it's really interesting to enter this field. It's not easy. It's something very emotional also, but it's worth of this. So what I will say about my master thesis project, that if you really plan to do something with data, and I hope you do, because it will accelerate, let's say, empower your thesis, empower your skills. Try to do the really socially responsible researches, because and also try to run away from the easy things. I could have done something that my supervisor gave me as a data set. Okay, Rustam, just do some analysis with R on this. But what I did was I created sample data, cleaned it and everything, and in the end, unexpectedly, when I got to work in Bravinci, I was told that I was accepted to the work because the other students that were applying did just get the clean data set from their professors. But what I did was like creating the data set, cleaning it, and really putting effort in it. So if you plan to do, be creative, don't be afraid, try seeking alternatives always. And it will not only empower you in skills, but also in your career too. So be sure that adding data will really, really, really helpful for you in the future. Well, that was about my project, my 2 projects that I undertook since graduation from Bilkent. But now I would like to talk about, the realities. So, and because I see that even like 2 days before I spoke with the team, Onurcan and team, and I saw that, people are really frightened of what data is. If I tell you that, to become a data scientist, you need all this, all these things that are published on LinkedIn, would you really go for this? Would you even risk entering this field? I don't believe, because if I was told that that's it, I said, oh, no. I would like to work in an international organization. Be a career is not really that challenges. What I will say about from this slide is that you see a lot of things: SQL, Databricks, Spark, Python, R, Azure environment, Mongo databases, Java, Power BI, Tableau, PyTorch, like Scrum. What I see that the LinkedIn has a very, 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 very unnecessary noise on us. It really frightens people with their job requirements and everything. But I got one of the best advices in one of my first lectures at Tilburg University. I don't remember the name of the professor, but I remember what he told. He told me that, you know, the thing is not about the cool machine learning, neural nets, and that stuff. The thing is, you have the aim. The research has a problem. Pregnant women, I don't know, depressive people. And if Excel, Microsoft Excel, the good old horse that does your job, please go ahead. Don't try to run away to some fancy names, because your aim is not to use something fancy. Your aim is to solve the problem. So be confident enough in yourself. I want our students, I say ours because I really still feel like a Bilkenter. I'm in Bilkent. I wasn't told these things back before, but if you use data and don't be afraid that there is like that much noise in the market about the programs, the environment stuff. If your research goal is to, for example, to like analyze the posts during Nagorno-Karabakh war, if Excel does your job, for example, you can really do good calculations. There are even people who created like very simple machine learning models on Excel, which is like needs very advanced level of knowing it. But you know, if it does your job, go ahead. Do not put that old programs in front of you. But if you're really good at Excel, but you know you see that it's not enough for you, I would say get a simple proficiency in one of the languages. For me, as a past IR person, it took me around let's say 6 to 9 months to get the logic behind the programming languages. Programming languages are all actually similar. So if you know one, you can really enter the others, but just isolate everything, you know, any noise, just focus on Python or R. Start from doing it, but to have a motivation, you know, have a goal. I will learn R, I will learn Python to help these people to answer this question. And for you, I'll tell, I learned more from the thesis itself rather than all the courses I took before, because, you know, I had the passion to do it. And just like a secret, and actually it can sound cliche, but if you don't have motivation to do something as a person in a field, you will never learn this. It will be meaningless for you to learn anything if you don't have specific goal. So I would recommend go for easy at first. That was the tips from me, and well, thank you. And if you have any questions, regardless with career, whether it be academic work or anything, or even Bilkenters in NL, yeah, please contact me. I'll appreciate to speak with you, and we can discuss further. And right now, I think we can be open to questions. Let's discuss.
Can I ask you something? If it's okay. So my question is about that. You just use natural language processing, get data like linguistic data and process data, etc. But I'm curious about that. If you like, we are trying to understand people's moods on social media. Are there any ways that we just don't use linguistic tools, but like how, like when they enter Twitter, how they when they, I heard that some people check when they use Twitter and like make predictions on their mood by just if they use Twitter after midnight, probably they are depressed, because depression is a bit about related to like sleep cycles, etc. So have you ever checked other things except from like linguistic data?
Oh yeah, thank you for the question. It's really interesting. For me to get to use only language, in the papers there were a lot of different alternatives. So, for example,
by the way, it is a really like a big thing for a master thesis. So I'm impressed. So it's cool to be like a lot to do it in master thesis, but I'm just curious about it. Have you ever like heard something like that, or like and anything to say about that?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, for sure. I read the papers of the Russian authors who used machine learning and natural language processing, but they said, you know, maybe it's not enough. We get some other indicators, as you said. I don't know if it was on Twitter or VK, because VK has more easy API to use. They analyze their network, whom they follow. So actually, also it's one of the part of the following network. Let's say network of the person. It can also be as identifier of whom they follow. Also talks about their mood, their interests, their everything. So it was used once also for political. So how much one celebrity affects its followers. It was also used. One of the indicators I remember was the number of friends on the community. So how many friends do you have? You can get metadata from Twitter also about the dates that they posted. You can get actually a lot of about the location. Also, one of the things that is analyzed is also emojis. So which emojis do they use? It is being used. If I remember correctly, there was these are one of the indicators that were tested in the research already to see if the person is in the depressed mood or not. That's it. And for the other tools, there is a LIWC called Linguistic Inquiry Word Count. So professors in America, they created a large vocabulary, negative, positive, mood, about, I don't know, about your sexual health, about the money, bad or good. You know, they divided everything and translated to 5 languages. And I also used this for the research, LIWC features, which performed good. So there is already some tool that you just put the text there, it analyzes, gets you the count of the words through categories already, assigned categories. So there's actually a lot more than we know how to use it. It's up to also the creativity, of course.
Thank you.
Oh, there's another question in chat. I'll voice it. I wondered how you define depression as a disability. I think there must be a misusage of disability here because depression is a mood disorder.
Well, it's one of the mental health disabilities. It's regarded as by WHO, so World Health Organization. So it's one of the disabilities in the list. Maybe you don't see it as a disability, but the resource that I referred saw it as a mental disorder, mental disability. So maybe it's not as severe as the others, as schizophrenia, but it's in the same list. But thank you for the question. Maybe just another round of reassuring it will help us to really know if it's disability or not. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are not any other questions, I have one. How would a social scientist, a computational social scientist, would continue his or her career in the private sector? I think you are working in the private sector right now, and most of the computational social scientists are academics. What would you recommend to those who want to pursue a career in private sector?
Private sector. Well, private sector has its pros and cons, and I would like to talk about pros. The work is real. I think sometimes academia gets really its own vacuum. That's why when we get out of the university, we feel, oh God, like the market is really different. The skills that we were taught, Onurcan, were not really sometimes useful in the market. For example, right now, with the projects that I'm working on, we need to ensure good visualizations of the normal data, not really that fancy neural nets, but we ensure that the that the data that is there is presentable. It does action, and it's gonna in the end bring money to the company. Private sector is all about the gain. What I would recommend for the computational social scientists, people who strive to go to private sector, be ready that it's not university. The topics that you're gonna work are not probably of a social responsibility or not about politics at all. But be sure to know what your boss or your team will require from you. What skills? For example, right now the skills that I'm working on, like improving, are SQL. Because Onurcan, if you don't have SQL skills, you will never be able to extract data from the database of a big logistics company in Rotterdam that has a turnover of millions. So right now, everyone in our team is actually improving the SQL skills, because we have to firstly get data from somewhere. And to get it, you should know the queuing. After it, you should know how to clean it, still SQL. Then you should know Power Query. So just know which sector we are going. What are the realities? Try to get out of the university vacuum and speak with the managers. Speak with them to understand what is expected from you, if you are, of course, going to that industry. So the earlier you know, the more chance you have to succeed.
I see. Thank you very much. And this has been a very fruitful presentation, I think.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
let's be back in 10 minutes. Let's leave a short break, and we will be back with Pınar'da.
Okay, thank you much, everyone. I
Thank
hope
you.
it helped. For any questions, please, I'm always ready for this. Thank you.